Welcome back to the Midlife Muscle Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Atlas, and today we've got Dr. D joining us for a great interview. Thanks for coming in, Dr. D.
You bet, Joey. Thanks
Appreciate
for inviting.
Yeah, total pleasure. And for context, Dr. D's, is it better other half?
Catherine, yes.
Catherine is behind the scenes. She's in our viewing audience back there. In case you see us gesturing, that's what we're gesturing at. She might actually be a future guest. We'll find out today. So, Dr. D, again, thank you for making the time for this. Dr. D is a doctor of chiropractic. Is that the official term we go by?
Correct, yep.
All right. So, most of my audience and clients, they know I'm very cautious when it comes to chiropractors. For example, if I'm coaching somebody long distance and the dog pulls them the wrong way and they wrench their back, or they're lifting up cases of water, they wrench their back. Like, I think I need to go to a chiropractor. Okay, fine. Let me help you look first. Check the reviews, try to check references, call them myself to see if they're like in the zone of competence that is required for your lifestyle. So I'm very cautious. And you and I, we started talking in the gym, and in the first few conversations, I knew like this is a chiropractor I would go to and refer people to. And so once the idea for the podcast came around, I was like, yeah, I want to get him on there. He'd be a great guest. So thank you again.
Of course.
For starters, can you give us just a casual 3 to 5 sentence summary of who Rob is?
Yeah, so, my life has been pretty much in sports and athletics. And I had, when I was 15, fractured a vertebra of my neck and didn't know what to do. The medical doctors couldn't pump me full of meds. And finally, my mom sent me to a chiropractor, and he changed my life. I mean, I was just amazed at what he was able to do with just his hands. Now, obviously, after it healed, I still couldn't hardly move my neck. And he worked with me, and within 3 or 4 adjustments, I was a new man. And he was into athletics himself, worked out, very active. And I said, that's what I want to do. And I was 15. So pretty much since I was 15, devoted my life to be a chiropractor. I ended up playing college football and was in athletics. And then I got into bodybuilding afterwards.
Okay.
And I just love the whole philosophy of chiropractic. And I really enjoy being able to help patients where other things they couldn't help them, and obviously with their hands, with no side effects of medications and things like that. The philosophy is there that I really truly believe in, and the benefits are there. I mean, I see patients that, I'm their last hope, and really changes their lives,
Understood. I've heard a lot of good things about you. Like my ears are always open. I'm just very perceptive that way. And so in the gym, I hear people mention your name, or, hey, just go see Dr. D. There's another incident of that outside the gym, which I'll tell you about. So Dr. Chiropractic, because of your own experience when you were younger, hurt, chiropractic helped you big time. You became interested in the profession yourself. You're married, kids, how many?
Yeah, so I am married, and I got 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. My oldest is 22. And youngest is 12. So
okay, yeah, I met Colin. I met Dominic yesterday.
And Marissa's my daughter, who hasn't been in the gym.
My sister's name is Marissa.
Really?
So remember yesterday I told Dominic that's my brother's name.
Wow.
And something was saying, I bet you there's a Marissa in the family too.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Whew, so good.
Marissa and Dominic. That's funny.
Yeah, I love it.
Kids, good names.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So we've got the snapshot summary of who you are right now in life. Let's go back to your childhood. You played sports, had the injury when you were 15, college sports. So where were you born and raised?
So I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And, my father was born in Italy. And they migrated to Pittsburgh for the steel mills. This was the old days back when the steel mills. And so I was raised pretty much blue collar, from nothing to, and I watched my dad succeed into a lot of things. And then when I was in high school, moved to southern New Jersey, and I finished my high school years there. And then that's when I went to Trenton State College, which is now called College New Jersey, and played football there. And then after that, I went to chiropractic school in Atlanta, and that's another 4.5 years of school. So I was a pre-med major as my undergraduate, 4.5 years there, then 4.5 years of chiropractic school, graduated from Life University in Atlanta, which at that time was the biggest chiropractic school in the world. And, after football, I was like, what do I do? I'm a competitor, loved it. And I always worked out, since I was 14 actually, and ended up getting into bodybuilding after, collegiate sports. Cause, instead of trying to stay big and bulky, you get a little bit leaner, and I had all that frame from working out all those years. So I ended up going into bodybuilding. I ended up, building 3 gyms, actually. 3 at the time was called World Gyms, which is now the Gym Jacks, and 2 other World Gyms in Jacksonville, and owned them for about 15 years, and that started up my own clinic, obviously, at that time. Now it's 26 years in practice, and I won 14 bodybuilding shows and got my pro card in classic physique.
Nice.
And nowadays, the old days was just bodybuilders, where they just only had one category. Now they have 3 categories. They have what's called bodybuilders, classic physique, and then just physique. Physique is where the guys wear board shorts, they don't train the legs. Classic physique, the good thing about that is if you're a certain height, you can only be a certain weight. So guys can't come in and do, a bunch of steroids and then, blow out their competition. So if you come over that weight, then you have to be a bodybuilder. So I did classic physique, and I did masters. And then when I, 2 years ago, got my pro card after winning, I think, 14 shows locally, and then did 1 pro show in Puerto Rico, won that first place, and then retired. So it's a lifestyle for me, though.
Retired in a.
Rob's
not really retired though. He trains hard every day. Catherine's in the gym. I see her quite often. You guys are training together sometimes. You're putting in the work.
It's a lifestyle for us. It really is. It's just, there's no other questions, like brushing your teeth. I wake up 5 a.m, do my cardio, 45 minutes, and then eat breakfast. And then, at lunchtime, we'll work out and do about an hour and a half of weights, and in bed at 8:30.
So. Nice. I like it. All right, we're gonna go a little deeper into some of these details. So that was your start into fitness. When you opened the gyms, did you personally open them as a gym owner, or like combo chiropractic?
So what I did, I never wanted to have a chiropractic clinic inside a gym. They would intimidate people from coming in. So when we started the first World Gym, I was like, I want to have my office right next door. So I built the facility. It was 38,000 square foot health club, and then had my office right next door, so that people didn't feel intimidated going inside a gym to go to see the chiropractor. So the gym, very successful. I mean, I'll never forget opening it. I mean, we had put a lot of money, a lot of effort into it, and it was a dream of mine. It was even in chiropractic school, I wanted to have my own gym and have my chiropractic clinic, and it's something that was very fulfilling, and it was very successful. So the nice thing about that, my practice kind of gravitated more towards fitness injuries and sports injuries, because they knew me as, hey, if you're hurt, go right next door. If you got any ailment, then you can see the chiropractor right next door, which is very convenient for them. So, and then we opened 2 other gyms, and I was very successful with that, while I kept my one, local practice.
Was there any partnership with Vince and Bev?
So we had actually 2 partners. The owner of the building was the Solomons, and they, Doug Solomon and George Solomon, they were one of the partners. And then Vince was, he was the sweat equity, and I was the third partner. So we ended up having 3 partners, and then Vince had sold out, and then it was just me and the Solomons. And then later on, years later, Vince came back and bought us all out. So I sold my interest in the gym, and had still obviously my chiropractic clinic next door, and thankfully have a good relationship with them next door still to this day.
Right. Beautiful. Okay. So I'm going to dial back a little bit. This building you're seeing us in, where I have this studio set up, it's a multi-purpose building, all different kinds of businesses, different sizes, different office spaces, flex spaces. This used to be a retrofit owned by David Garrard, former quarterback of the Jaguars. And then it became this at some point. So downstairs, you saw Mike at the front desk. You saw Keely. I think it was early last week, I was at the front desk, giving them the times I'd be using the space here. and there's a gentleman named Nate. He's a steel worker, former military guy with a long beard.
Okay.
And I was talking with Mike and Keely. Nate was off to the side talking with somebody else, and Nate's like, "Yeah, just go see Dr. D." I said, "Is that the same Dr. D? Robert DeVincentis? Is it Vincentis or
DeVincentis? Yeah.
Vincentis."
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Yeah, he's like, that's my guy. I've got all kinds of stuff." And
Yeah, super guy.
Rob's my guy. Nate's great.
He is.
We've spoken a bunch of times regarding some possible steel work I might need done. But I spoke very highly of you, and every time I hear something about you, it's all positive.
Well, my goal when I came into chiropractic, I saw in the profession that there was a lot of, people that did it for the wrong reasons. Instead of looking for helping somebody and truly loving the profession, they were looking to make money.
Right.
And so my job was always like, if you have the giving hand and you're going to help and just serve,
do the right thing,
this is going to come,
yep.
No matter what. And that's always been my philosophy. I like to sleep at night. I have a conscience. My wife will tell you. So
amen.
It's kind of crazy, but it's the right way. And,
yep.
In Jacksonville, when I came here 27 years ago, it was really a growing town, and it's really exploded, but it was a small little town to where you could ruin yourself if you did things wrong, but if you did things fast. Right, you could do very well. And I've been, I've been lucky. I've met the right people, but again, it comes down to treating people right.
Yep.
If I can't help somebody, I'm going to tell them, you know
yep.
what I mean? And if I can help them, I'm going to fix them the least amount of visits, quickest amount of time, and hopefully have wonderful results with them.
That's why you're on here.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot who will never make it on here.
No, exactly.
But you're here for a reason. I believe we all cross paths for a reason. I believe God guides our steps in certain ways in life. Mm-hmm. And the first time we started speaking, it's because I saw you and your son, 12 years old, Colin, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys were training, and I was like, I saw me and my dad, like way back when. That's how I got into it. And so I just started talking with you guys, just letting you know I appreciate what I'm seeing. It's bringing back memories, and I love the example you're setting. Mm-hmm. Like you guys, for the way you live your lifestyle and the way the kids are picking it up.
Yeah, it is important.
Priceless. So, and then from there, other conversations unfolded, and mm-hmm. I could tell right away that our philosophies are very much aligned, and the way we see the gift of life and how we're supposed to take care of it, mm-hmm. nurture it, get the most out of it, and be the example for others around us. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, everybody goes downhill fast.
Agreed.
So, all right. In terms of, and by the way, stay tuned, because at the end, Dr. D is going to nominate a future guest. I don't know who it's going to be. He's got a big question for me, right? Mm-hmm, you got a good question for me. And we're going to share Dr. D's social pages and website where you can go connect with him. Even if you're long distance, you could just keep an eye on what he's doing, check out his Instagram. If you're local, you could definitely check out the website, see what services they offer, and how he might be able to help you. Let's go into your training routine. What does a week of your training generally look like? What's the framework overview?
Yeah, pretty crazy. It's monotonous, and it's very scheduled, as my wife would say. But it's the same thing each week. Wake up at 5 a.m. and we'll go to the gym in our complex and just do cardio, 40 minutes of cardio.
Cardio every morning.
Yep, every morning, empty stomach. The idea with that, the old adage is, you're going to dip into your fat stores a lot quicker when you do cardio on an empty stomach.
Yeah, fasted cardio in the morning.
Yep.
So typically same kind of cardio?
Yeah, I don't run because it's hard on your joints. Yeah. I don't recommend running,
right.
Anybody really. It eventually takes its toll.
Mm-hmm.
So I do stationary bike, believe it or not, and crank up, the intensity pretty good so the legs are pumping. As long as your heart rate gets up to 100,
right.
120, you're in that fat burning zone and cardio zone. And then I'll do about 30 minutes of stationary bike, and then finish off 10 minutes of walking on a treadmill, and then I'll stretch about 10-15 minutes and then go home. 3/4 cup of oatmeal, 2
right.
scoops of protein powder, my vitamins in the morning, and then,
multivitamins.
Yep. So I do a whole source. I usually do vitamin D, C, mm-hmm. As always, and then other things as needed. But pretty much that oatmeal, 3/4 cup with the protein powder, and then get ready for work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll prepare my meals the night before. I still prep. because going out to eat, it's
Yeah. So I don't want I want to go deeper into the
Yeah.
food stuff, but what does your actual fitness training look like? What's
So-
an overview?
yeah.
framework?
So basically, then I'll work in the morning from 8:30 till about 11:30. I'm in the gym at noon until about 1:30,
Right.
and then back in the office, 2:30 for the
Okay.
rest of the day.
And what's your body part split look like?
So the weight training is at noon, and usually I do, it doesn't very much. So I have the set workout on Mondays. I'll do legs,
Mhm.
Get it out of the way, make
Right.
sure we don't skip it.
Yeah.
You can't be a martini glass or a light bulb.
That's
so,
right.
you got to train legs. Legs are important.
Amen.
And, without that, your body doesn't
Foundation.
grow. Exactly.
Like, just carry you around for life.
Yep. So we train legs on Mondays. On Tuesdays, I'll do arms. Wednesday, shoulders. Thursdays, I'm doing chest. Friday, back. And then Saturday's my bonus day. I'll go in and just touch up on certain things if I
Right.
want to, or take off. Mhm.
Okay. Sunday's definitely off.
Sundays off, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Nice.
Cardio still, though.
Yeah, I got you. Love it. I'm supposing the active family you guys are, like, you might do beach walks, nature hikes, bike rides.
Oh, I'll tell you, everything we do, our hobbies are pretty much activity,
Okay.
whether it's scuba diving, snorkeling, hiking,
Yeah.
biking, whatever.
Right.
So we're outdoorsy people. I don't like to be stuck
Understood.
inside.
I get it. You guys ever been to the Baldwin Trail with your bikes?
Is it?
It's like a little bit west side.
No, we haven't.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's really cool. Like, we were there a few weeks ago. Took my father, he's 75, on his bike. It's like 12 or 14 miles one way, 12 or 14 back.
Nice.
But you could park at the halfway point and kind of do a halfway kind of thing.
Nice.
It's an old railroad track heading east to west, west to east, fully paved. No more railroad, no cars, no vehicles,
nice.
just electric bikes, rollerblades, skateboards, people walking dogs.
Very
Awesome.
nice. Yeah, we'll have to try that.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about it if
Mhm.
you want, if you forget, but definitely worth at least one trip there. And
For sure.
if the weather's decent, it's a day of
Mhm.
peace well spent. Okay, so let's go into the nutritional. What does a day in your life of nutrition look like? Sample day.
Yeah. So nutrition, that's probably, like I tell everybody, all my patients too, 70% at least, So in general, I try to stay away from processed foods, sugars, of course, but it's pretty regimented. And for some people, it's a lot, but for me, I liked it because what I do is I'll prep my meals and literally I'm for years weighed my food because I competed, but now I can kind of visually see and know how much is there. So I'll do my carbohydrate sources are potatoes, brown rice, and oatmeal. The oatmeal's in the morning with the protein powder, and then about every 3.5 hours, I'm eating again. 40 net grams of protein and about 50 net grams of carbohydrates. And
each
then,
meal.
Yes. And then your vegetables, your fibrous carbs, broccoli, cauliflower, squash, lettuce, cabbage, as much as you can eat with each meal of that.
Right.
So,
Right.
and then every 3.5 hours, repeat. Towards the evening, watch my starches, less starches in the evening.
Right.
Now, those are almost, bodybuilding style work, meals. So what we do is, and during the week, we'll eat rock solid and try to really maintain that regimen. And then on the weekend, we'll go out to eat. For us, cheating is a piece of bread,
Right.
Or a small, we'll split a dessert, but that's plenty for us. I don't like, I just don't like the way I feel after. When you eat so clean for so long and you go back to eating that way, you forget.
Right.
And a lot of people, and that's the problem, is they don't know what it's like to feel truly good.
Right.
And when they do, it's like, wow, this is how I could feel. People complain about being tired and sick all the time. Nutrition's, probably a big part of it. So,
Right.
the processed foods that are out there, the American diet is just, it's
They don't
atrocious.
realize how bloated they are, how mentally foggy they are.
Exactly.
Until they experience the other side.
Good clean eating,
Yes.
it changes your mind and your body, everything. So, and I can't go back because how could you go for so many years feeling good to feeling lousy after? You just can't. So.
And the health risk you're putting yourself at if you do go
exactly
the way most people are going.
Right. I want to be 70s and living.
Amen.
So,
yeah. Life is just beginning in our 50s here.
Exactly.
Which reminds me, I think you're going to be 54 soon?
I'm 53, just turned 53, so next year 54. Yep.
Okay, same. I'll be 54 in March.
Yeah, and honestly, I can say I probably feel more energetic.
Oh, I feel like I'm in my mid-30s.
Yeah,
I do.
And I don't feel
Not
at all.
even just saying it.
Yeah, I don't think that number's real, but
No, I mean, I think we take for granted how great we do feel. We're like, oh yeah, I mean, I do my training, I do my nutrition, I take my supplements, I get good enough sleep. This is how we're supposed to feel.
exactly.
But again, taking it for granted, most of the other people out there, especially in our age range and up, they don't feel this way.
Right, exactly.
They're hurting.
And they think that it's unattainable,
Right.
But I disagree. I mean, really think if you can clean up your diet, it's never too late. You can change your life literally, fully within even 6 months to a year.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's, I think one of the things people suffer from is pure overwhelm. We went to school for a lot of this stuff. It was a natural part of our lives. We had a genuine self-interest in it. So we'd go seek information, right? And we were able to discern we probably had enough people in our surroundings who could help us discern what was good, what was not good information. Most people out there in public don't have any kind of way to discern, right? And so you see all the ads on the internet, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, even the TV, if you still watch it. People are bombarded with all kinds of crazy things, right? And so they'll open up. Yeah, I was trying keto, and then I was trying the zero carb, and then I was doing these 6-week HIIT program, and I tore my shoulder, and it's like they're just pinballing out there, right? And so the frustration is easy to see that it's probably going to be the thing that makes them not do anything when they're so frustrated, confused, and down on everything they've tried. Like, I thought it was supposed to work. The marketing was great. Testimonials, maybe they were fake now that I look back on it.
Yeah, a lot of people look for a quick fix or something new, innovative, but you're not reinventing the wheel.
It's obvious that a lot of us already know the answer. Like, you come into the gym and you look around, like, a lot of people are in shape here. Like, all different kinds of shapes, but good shape, right? Everybody has their own body type, their own size, weight, body composition, but you can say, okay, a lot of these people have it figured out. Right? They're here putting in the work. They probably eat decently, and that's 90% of your answer right there.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the kind of gym we tried to have too. That healthy lifestyle instead of having pizza parties on Friday at a gym. It doesn't make sense. So.
Right. Love it. Yeah, it's another story. So so in terms of the nutrition framework, how do you guys handle your food shopping? Where do you go? How often?
Yeah, we just moved. So we, normally go to Publix. That's but we go to Sprouts now, which I discovered, last year. And it's just, we love it there because
that's a great place.
Organics that are there are quite economical. I'm amazed that their fruits and vegetables that are organic. I mean, it's half the price on some of them that are in Publix. So been really happy that, because I would say 5 or 6 years ago, we decided to go full organic, because especially on the vegetables and everything, because it does make a difference, and it makes a difference in taste too.
Oh yeah,
nutrient level,
texture.
Taste. Yep. And the more we learn, the more we realize that how harmful the chemicals that are on the foods, that are out there. So we try to really do everything organic.
And a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm going to peel this so I don't have to get this one organic because I'm peeling it. No. That thing grew in chemical fertilized soils, and the pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. Exactly. They're part of that food.
It's not just
even if you're going to peel it.
Yep.
It's part of it.
Right.
It's
in not just the spray that's on top. Yeah. It's the the soil and
it's in the cells of this food item.
And it's harmful. It truly is. The more research you look on here, it'll blow your mind. And sometimes people don't want to know. But, if you want to live a long, healthy life, that's part of it.
You have to face the truth. And the cool thing is, even Walmart sells a bunch of organics, super affordable. So that excuse is starting to disappear too.
You're absolutely right. It's coming, in my actual vision about 25 years ago, when we decided to open that gym, was to put a whole food, organic kind of market in that same shopping center, but I didn't.
It's a different business.
Yeah, it's a whole another beast. I like the idea and all. And honestly, at that time, I don't think it would have been accepted as much as it does now.
Right.
You know
the
25 years
demand
ago,
for it.
It was just coming up, but now it's more and more people. There's a bigger demand. So
back then it was more health nuts.
Yes.
Now the mainstream is getting educated, and they're starting to be more
Yep.
discerning about the food choices they make for them and their families.
And, the more we can educate, the more producers that will produce it, the supply and demand.
Right.
If there's more of a demand, the more there's going to be a supply, which will lower the price too, which
Right.
will be very helpful for a lot
yeah.
of people, because it does get kind of pricey, and,
Agreed.
for middle income to lower income families, it's hard, it's when they can go get a full meal at KFC, for $14 for a family of 5, it's tough. So,
But it's a slow death. We know that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sad.
Yeah. How about Costco? Are you guys into Costco?
No, we get overwhelmed there, and it's just, we'd rather go more frequently and get fresh rather than buy big, huge bulks, and it's just overwhelming there, a lot of.
It can be. Yeah. I get it. I go in and I go out. If I go there, I use Costco.com lately. And I'm like, ooh, this is really good, because everything I basically get from there, it could be shipped, and I don't have to go drive over there, deal with the crowds, and deal with all the other stuff I'm surrounded by.
You go there on the weekend, it's tough.
Yeah, thank goodness for Costco.com. Yeah. What about online? Any online shopping? Do you use any websites for buying certain things, staples?
No, I have, because I own gyms, I have wholesale for my supplements, and also, and so that's about it online, our protein powders and, our vitamins and minerals and things. I use Thorne products, which is only sells to doctors, and it's high quality stuff. Right. So, it's
nice. Okay. Did you, in the course of your life, besides the incident you had when you were 15 that introduced you to chiropractic, did you ever have another major setback, episode in your life where you kind of got off track, felt what it was like to be off track, and then found your way back? And is it one you would like to share?
Sure. Yeah. No,
it could be anything.
It's simple.
I've had my own, a bunch.
It's simple. I've been consistent throughout, very consistent. The worst shape I got into was when I had my first child, and pretty much I had a choice whether to go to the gym or to come home to see my child. So it was, a few months there initially of letting myself go. And that's probably it, for the last, I hate to say it, 35 years, pretty monotonous, but it was a time where, like, hey, I got out of the routine and got out of everything. I was like, wow. And after a while I was like, I don't like the way I feel. Right. And then my health started getting worse, and then I couldn't be there, in full vitality for my family. So I was like, okay, back on track.
The real you wasn't there.
Exactly. So
how did you manage getting back on track? Like, what did you have to do to make that happen?
Well, I started seeing my energy levels drop, and just, I don't know if it's the Catholic in me, the guilt of not exercising, working out, and it, exercise is euphoric for me. We work out in the morning, we come back in our cardio, and I just feel vitalized. After my workouts at lunch, I come back to work, and I'm just like, everybody else
gives you life,
drinking their coffee, about ready to fall asleep, and I'm ready to go. So it's just that feeling of constant energy. It's truly living. It's vitality. And living life at 100%. Whereas, a lot of people, they don't do that. I mean, that's probably the majority. It's sad, but once you experience that and you know what it's like to feel good, and then you drift away from it, it's like, wait a minute, you remember what it's like. So, and you want to go back to that.
What changes did you make in your routine after those several months of your first child? Like, what did you do to get back on track? What did the logistics look like?
So I did, obviously it was frustrating because I had worked all this time to get a certain level. So I basically lowered my weights and increased the repetitions and shortened the workouts. Get in and get out. I tell people,
so you made the time more reasonable.
Yeah. People, they feel like they got to spend 2-3 hours in a gym. You're going to do that, but you're only going to do it for a month, and then you're going to get fed up with it. You got to get in and get out. Do your thing. Don't waste time, and get out of there. Because you're going to do it the next day, and the next day, and then for years to come. So, and that's what I try to express to a lot of my patients is, don't expect right away. People have such expectations that when they first start working out, they want to lose 20 pounds in 3 weeks. It's not going to happen. You got to have long-term goals and see, hey, this is a 3-4 month long process. And then once they start to realize how long it takes, and then keeping it, maintaining it, consistency.
Yeah. So, the time's going to go by anyway. Might as well make it turn out good.
Exactly. It's like brushing your teeth. I feel with exercise and nutrition, it's part of life. And if you want to live that, And, once I start, when I'll teach a lot of patients nutrition and everything, and once they start making that change, and then you can see a month or two later, their whole face changes. They're happy, they're more energetic and everything too, and they're living life.
Right. They're regaining that life. Love it. So this is a 2-part question, this next one. What are the main, or the main, if not several, what's the main, let's say, gym injury or gym problem you see that you have patients coming to you for help?
Real specific, like you're talking about? Yeah. So, obviously the lower back is probably number one. And believe it or not, it's the leg press that I see is probably the number one injuries I see. People think that the leg press is better for their lower back, but in reality, it's not. The reason being is your lower back is supposed to have an arch into it, right? And when you do a squat properly, you maintain that arch. When you lose that arch in your back, that's when you're going to hurt your back with the discs and, strain the muscles, provided you're not just putting on too much weight, And so people will gravitate, well, I'm going to save my back and do the leg press. And if you dissect the movement of a leg press, when you come down with the weight, your back flattens out. So now when you first press, those lower lumbar discs are very susceptible. That's where you're going to see those disc injuries, right? That first press of that high weight on leg press, because their backs flatten out. And so even, I've consulted and adjusted and worked with pro bodybuilders that we had them get off the leg press, and their back problems disappeared. So leg press is the big one. And, and also the Smith machine, believe it or not, because the Smith machine, you're on one straight track. When you do a squat, your body has a natural glide forward and back, and it's a natural motion. When you're restricted to that Smith machine, then you're more susceptible to have a lower back.
Because the Smith machine is going to stay on its track. Your body then has to be the thing that moves and adjusts. Sometimes it's not very natural.
Exactly. So, honestly, and patients come to me all the time I could probably treat them in 2 or 3 visits, but I'll tell them, stay away from this, and this, and their problems go away. It really does. Upright rows is another one of the cervical spine that is just horrible. Patients will tell me, I got this sharp pain here after, and I'm like, don't say anything. You were doing upright rows. How'd you know? It's amazing. So, and then obviously shoulder injuries, but that's most likely from straight bar bench press. When I built the gym initially, I wasn't even going to put benches in there with straight bar, because I know how torturous it is to the shoulder. Your body has a natural, when you do a chest press to
dumbbells
come in tight,
are so much better.
And you have that natural motion here. A straight bar, you're just in this position.
There's no freedom of movement. The joint takes the brunt.
And the little rotator cuff muscles have to take up all that weight. Your chest can handle the weight, but those rotator cuff muscles don't. So there's very high susceptibility to injury. Some of the best bodybuilders in the world don't do flat bar, straight bar for years. And you can't even build your chest as well. You'll build your chest better with hammer strength machines that kind of have an angle like this, or dumbbells with a natural motion. Stay away from the straight bar. You know what I mean? And upright rows.
Agreed.
If I tell too many people that, I'll probably be less busy in my office.
Agreed. I've seen all this stuff.
I 35 years of working out weights. Between that, the injuries that I've sustained, the mistakes I've made, my education with, the kinesiology and physiology and chiropractic. I can really help people in the gym and say, stay away from this, do this. There's so many mistakes, and I see it all the time in the gym, and I cringe. I used to go up to people, but I stopped doing that now. So.
I get it totally. Like, I'll look around, I'll be like, I want to walk over to that person and just say, let me help you change that a bit.
And they'll tell you, well, I've been doing this for 20 years, and their arms like this.
Right. Some people are open to some friendly help, and some people you're not sure. So it's like, I'll play it safe.
Better to play safe. Exactly. Here's my card.
Good stuff. All right. So how about non-gym injuries that people might come to you for? Is there something that's prevalent? Or
totally, lifestyles where most jobs now are sitting at a computer 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and if you look at the ergonomics of a seated workstation, it's the worst. Most people, so I tell people all the time, I treat construction workers, pro bodybuilders, professional athletes, and people that sit at the desk all day. The worst backs and necks they see are the people that sit at the desk all day for years after years after years. So I do a lot of, and that's the big reason why I have a success in my office of getting people better long term, is I'll go through their whole seated posture. I spend sometimes 20 minutes just top to bottom, from the feet to the
Right.
head, where they have to be positioned when they're sitting at the computer, setting up their workstation. And when I'm done with it, it makes so much sense. And then they do it, and I tell them, like, listen, you're going to make me look like a miracle doctor, because you're going to get better after sitting like this. And they're like, which is good. So, and it really is, that's probably the number one, and obviously there's
sedentary desk lifestyle.
It's unbelievable. Most jobs are like that now. And, a lot of companies try to, do ergonomics. They'll have people in there but they don't really have the knowledge, understanding of the physiology of the spine and how you're supposed to sit, having a lumbar support, not reaching for your keys, having a pull-out tray for your keypad and your mouse, keeping that chin elevated, not looking down. That's why laptops are horrible. Keys connected to the, screen. So you're like this, like a crab. You get up, you wonder
always
why
hunched over, day after day, month after month.
Yeah. So we'll go through that, and I'll tell patients, like, listen, I can make you feel good. You're going to walk out of here, but it's going to come back if you go back to that job. I mean, you're going to make me look like a terrible doctor.
Right.
So this is what you got to do. It's not just getting adjustments. I mean, you've got to know what you do when you leave the office. So
So is there any push to get them to do any kind of stretches?
Oh, completely. So, after years of sitting at a computer improperly, they have certain muscles that are tighter, and then so what I do is I evaluate which muscles are. And 9 times out of 10, somebody that's seated posture, they've got the anterior delt, that are really tight. Their pecs are terribly tight. So I'll give them stretches that'll help lengthen those muscles to help with the posture. So that basically, they're not forced that way due to shortened muscles and all. And people say, well, I've always been that way. You can change your posture, through stretching, through, repetitive, those things can change. They're like, oh, that's the way I've always been. I'm like, no, you can change.
Stretch and strengthen.
Exactly. And then you strengthen the weak muscles, the posterior muscles to help bring the shoulders back, those kind of things. And that's really what, with good and that's the problem with chiropractic is, a lot of doctors won't do that. They're just burning and turning, and they're not explaining, hey, what are you doing outside of here? So then my practice, that's what I try to do. Like I said, my job is to get people the least amount of visits, quickest amount of time, better. And, part of that is rechanging their structure, and that can be changed, just like bodybuilding. You can change your frame, through, the way you
proper
stretch.
Training.
Yeah, exactly. So, and of course, in the gym, there's always the, people that train it properly. And that's the easy one for me, because I could say, okay, this is what we do, which is my experience. So
yeah, it's great to see so many people going after it and doing it, but also at the same time, you still realize, man, there's so much gray area still where people are doing things they just not even should be doing. They don't have to do it. There's so many better alternatives in a specific program.
And a lot of now, even like my son and kids in their 20s, they're watching these YouTube channels and these guys that are just showing them stuff. And I've watched it with my son, and I'm like, no, that is completely wrong. Do not do that. So and it's like, that's their mentor or whatever. They're looking at them, so they're going to do those things in the gym, and it's not the proper knowledge. They're just you're talking about, some of them are 20 years old kids that are themselves that have just been working out 2 or 3 years.
Male and female.
Yeah,
it's
scary, and they don't have the training. So
I mean,
influencers, they call them, I guess, right?
I mean, you take a female in mid-20s, great body. All right, I'm going to put on the spandex. I'm going to do I'll be a fitness influencer.
Exactly.
And the stuff I see is just this is not good.
You're right. And
this is really bad.
You need to take the advice that's somebody that's been doing it 20, 30 years, and still is healthy themselves. And then that's the people you should listen to. We should be the influencers. Problem is, I don't know how to do all that tech
We're doing
stuff.
it right now.
Yeah,
this is my version of creating the platform to influence people properly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It needs it. There's a big need for it.
Exactly.
Because people obviously want to have that look, but these people have that look because they're in their 20s. But I get, like I told my son when he's looking at this one particular guy, which I won't mention, I'm like, you talk to him in 10 years from now, and he's not going to have shoulders that are good. He's going to have issues. He's eating Cocoa Puffs for breakfast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not going to last long.
No. They're just doing what gets eyeballs. And
it's what TikTok and all these social medias, it's kind of driven by the younger generation, but you're getting bad information.
And they get enough interaction in their comment section, algorithm pushes them up, and unfortunately it's a more higher distribution of bad information. That's all it is.
Absolutely right.
All right, so that's why we're doing this. Some wisdom from some quote unquote old guys who are still staying young.
and we got to work harder to get our results than
Exactly.
those young guys do.
Right. We get smarter. We got to work smarter.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Smarter. We can't be eating Cocoa Puffs for
That's
breakfast.
right. No, I quit those a long time ago. Great stuff. All right. So I think we're good with all the great material. Are you ready to nominate question for me and then social pages and website?
Yeah, my social pages, I'm not much into it. I do have the Facebook under Intracoastal Chiropractic. The website is drdjax.com.
So DRD for Dr. D,
Jax.
JAX for Jacksonville, JAX, drdjax.com.
That's it, pretty simple. And on that website, you can email me questions and all, and I love answering them. I get them all the time. And, I'm going to shoot straight forward. I treat every patient like their family. What I mean? I really do. And I love what I do.
Yeah,
I
can
love
see
giving
that.
people information. I love helping, and they're going to get the right information too, which is good.
Awesome. So if you're local, if you are in Jax, at least go bookmark Dr. D's website for the clinic, drdjax.com. On your Instagram, do you share any training photos?
I don't really get into Instagram. I never have. I kind of missed that kind of boat there.
Right.
So
Okay.
My wife tried to get me involved in that, and what did they say? How many followers you have? I think I got 5. So it didn't work out too well.
Understood. So the Facebook page for the practice is
Intracoastal Chiropractic.
Intracoastal Chiropractic. INTRACOASTAL. Intracoastal Chiropractic. You'll know you're at the right one when you see the one on it's Beach Boulevard.
Yeah, Beach and San Pablo on Jacksonville. Yep.
Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. All right, awesome. All right, let's go with who you want to nominate for one of the future episodes.
So yeah, Catherine, I think, has got a great story to tell.
Yeah.
She's my wife, and she's a nurse. And when we met.
So hold on. How and when did you guys meet? Let's go.
So we were friends of a doctor that knew each other, and pretty much said,
here in Jax?
Yes. And St. Augustine she was from. So, and said, hey, she was single, I was single. I was like, I think,
First marriage?
No, we're both second marriages. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. And then, so she's been a nurse, and, she dabbled in health and really trying to be in shape and all. But I think when we met, it took it to a whole new level for her. And I think it changed her life, as it really, when we met, how old were you when we first met?
32.
Yeah. So it's really changed her life,
Awesome. All right. So that's going to be a great interview. Are you up for it, Catherine?
Sure.
Nice.
And she taught me a lot too, of course. So.
Of course. Come on now. I mean, we already know that. Love it. All right. And what's your big question for me?
So everybody has a life-changing event, I say. So did you ever have a life-changing event that led you to fitness or health and wellness?
So I wouldn't say it's a life-changing event. It was like a life-forming situation, right? So my dad was doing this since he was a teenager, right? From Palermo, Sicily.
Wonderful.
He came on the boat with my grandparents and his siblings into Brooklyn, New York. He started training when he was maybe 14, 15, basically cinder blocks, putting sand in pails, finding places to jump up on monkey bars and do pull-ups and stuff. And he always stuck with it. So when he went into the service, of course, it became easier to train there because it was expected of you. And he was naturally doing it anyway. He connected with other guys that were training. And then when I was born, which was 1970, he was doing it as a regular part of his lifestyle. Some of it he would do at home, a lot of body weight, basic weights, some straps, just basic stuff. But he knew what he was doing enough to where you could see, you could see this guy trains, he's working out and he's getting results. He would go to the gym sometimes, depending on his schedule. And so I naturally saw this as, this is what dads do. To me, it wasn't like, oh, other dads aren't doing this, only he is. To me, it was, this is what they're supposed to do. So, and I would, when he was doing stuff at the house, he would naturally get a broomstick dowel. He would put the 1.5s on there, tape them up, and I would do moves and, certain lifts. And he'd put me up on the monkey bar and just have me hang from the chin-up bar between the doorway and just hold myself there. Even if he still had to hold me, it was like still, I wanted to do it, you know? So as I got a little older, maybe 9, 10, and again, this was like 1980-ish, the gyms had loose rules, especially the smaller gyms. He would bring me on the weekend because that was his time to hit the gym. You know, if the week was really busy, he would bring me and I would see all these other people doing it. To me, that was normal. Like all these people are normal people. This was the norm for me. This is what everybody should be doing. Right. And I loved seeing like how everybody looked. Like I loved the muscles. I loved like the strength. But deeper than that, I saw these people were generally happy and energetic and like capable. Right. And I wanted to be like that. So since childhood, it was just something I always wanted to do. I think I started actually training when I was maybe 14-ish, give or take. And it was very natural to me. Like going into the gym was like, well, I already been coming to the gym just like to kind of watch and do a couple of little sets when I was younger. So to me, it was like a natural place to be. Right now, I say this because how many kids, especially back in the 70s, were born into a situation like that where fitness training was normal. And at least one of your parents was doing it as a lifestyle, right? To me, that was a huge blessing. And if I didn't have that, I don't know when I would have started. Like I want to think I would have eventually. But I don't know if it would have been when I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s. I don't know. But fortunately, God blessed me with like putting me in that close proximity to a person, my father, who was just doing it already when like 99% of the population wasn't not doing any of it. Right. And that was the biggest influence on me from really early on.
That's wonderful. You're lucky.
Very, very fortunate, very blessed. Great question, by the way.
No, that's great.
Thank you. So that's it. Is there anything else you want to add, wrap up with?
No, wonderful talk. I hope the viewers get a lot of benefit.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Dr.
Absolutely.
D. All right, so that's it. Midlife Muscle Podcast. That's Dr. D. Future guest is Catherine, his other half. We'll see you next time. Peace. Much love to you.